Welcome to Towerhand Happy Hour, episode 10. I'm Chad.
I'm Boone.
And today's guest we have on is Cathys Gill, owner of Tower Safety and Rescue out of Phoenix, Arizona. Cathys, how are you today?
Wonderful. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your podcast.
No, thanks for being on here. We need you. We needed this.
I love it.
Yeah. Hey, Cathys, I have a question for you then I want to start off with. And I wanted to, for anybody listening, I wanted to ask you how long you've been in business for.
Well, I started in 2013. So we're going into I'm going into the 8th year, and then had, construction company, a wireless construction company prior to that. And then just been in telecom pretty much since 19. Because I wasn't legal to go to the bars with the other guys yet.
Oh,
Right.
no.
So what's that?
No, how long? So who did you start out with, if you can say it?
Well, my dad used to bring me into like the central offices when he worked for Western Electric when I was, little, and brought home scrap wire all the time. And then started out with AT&T doing inside plant. So all the central office work, 750 power cable, all that stuff. And then I got sick of being inside central offices, and an opportunity came for me to be able to do fiber optics outside. So went to the outside plant crew, and then, went from AT&T to Lucent. And then one of the hardest things being a female in a construction company is always finding a way to go to the bathroom, right? It's like, where do I go? So then I was like, okay, how many years was that? It was like 6 years outside plant, 7 years outside plant. So then I said, all right, I'm going to go inside and learn how the entire system works for a phone call, right? Because just because you pick up a phone doesn't mean it magically calls. So did the whole routing and everything. And then started the wireless construction company with the ex-husband. And from there, flew into safety because I wanted to make a difference with the guys, right? Because I received some training and it didn't have that impact that I wanted to. I didn't feel like the trainer really cared. I felt like it was more just a money game.
Going through the motions.
Yeah.
I love it. See,
so if I can help one, what's that?
She is a great person to have on this podcast. That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah,
she's already talking about. That's what we're trying to do.
She's talking about call routing.
Start from the bottom man up.
I've got questions now. She's talking about call routing.
Oh
yeah. Well, that was
Oh.
years ago when you had AT&T had called it 5ESS electronic system, right? And it was like the state of the art at the time. And now you have these small little routers and everything. But it is fascinating how a call starts,
Yeah.
And I don't want to say my age, but at the same time, when I first started, like they had the girls in the central offices were still running wires, right? And you'd still hear the stepper officer click, 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 click when the phones were still going through.
No, you believe me, you aged
That's
yourself
awesome.
when you aged yourself when you brought up Lucent.
I love it.
Right?
I love
What, 50 years ago.
No, it wasn't. You're not a day over 20. Don't get me wrong there.
Yeah. Let me bring out my roller here, my cane and everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Chad, go ahead. I'm gonna let you start this one off.
So who do you
if you'd like to?
So Cathys, who do you normally train? Is it normally the new climber, or do you train the experienced climber? Who do you typically offer training to, or is it all of it?
We do both, from new to experienced. The new ones are always fun as well because takes more patience, right? Takes more time so they can get comfortable with the gear, get comfortable with climbing at heights. Not everybody's meant to be a climber. So there's times where I've got to speak to the owner and say, I'm sorry, this person just isn't meant to do this type of career.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
But
I've done that a couple times, and it's a brutal thing to have to do. And they always get the excuses, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I put a lot of money into him. Just give him a card. Have you had that? Well, let's talk. Let's back up track here. Have you ever had a company that's been busted for not having certs on site, and they ask you to backdate certs so they stay in compliance?
No, I have not had that. But what I am experiencing a ton now is fraudulent certs.
Ah,
right.
yes.
Right.
A lot of
That
those.
seems to be the new norm now.
Mm-hmm.
We've heard a lot about it. I know Boone's seen some of them, but
Oh yeah.
Can I say something? I know I don't want to interrupt you guys.
No,
please.
go ahead.
But because of the fatality and you guys knew them, I just want to say my sentiments for the loss. And if you know the family, because I mean, it's hard to hear.
Yeah, we appreciate that. That's awesome.
It's on one hand, we're not doing half bad. I mean, any fatalities too many, but we're now at 4 times the crews we were 10 years ago. I think I don't know why.
Yeah.
I saw, and the fact that we're not multiplying the fatalities by 4 is really, really good, but it's still not enough.
I would agree.
And here's the thing, it's like, me and Chad are going to talk about this later, and this as well. There's so many things out there that we give everyone, say, hey, here's your safety gear. Here's your $1,700 or at least $1,000 in safety gear. We train you on it. Use it. Why aren't you using it? Why aren't you using your head? Complacency is the biggest killer, and I have it right there. I have a complacency. I have a big sign I'm making, and it's just my thing. It's like, just stop it. I want to cuss so bad, but I won't.
It's okay.
Just stop it. Just stop it. Just stop it. It drives me nuts.
Yeah, and we can't take the human factor out of what we're, we do the safety training, we do it, we teach them, we do everything, and then there's that human factor. And this, we kind of started before we started, you guys start recording, which is that whole mental aspect of your head's got to be in the game. And if it's not, you shouldn't be climbing that day.
Well, I agree 100%.
Yeah. That's where you got to check yourself, because there's not a lot of people that know. I mean, it's different when you're actively with the same crew day in and day out. A crew chief can pick up on that, and he can understand. But this is also the same guy that in some certain cases lets whatever slip and slide too. We've all done it.
I love these companies. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I love these companies that they'll bring in a hand. He's a crew leader. He's got 15, 16, 17 years in the industry, but he's got a stupid amount of bad habits.
Yes.
And he's either a drug addict or a alcoholic, or he's running away from child support, so he can be there very long. He's got a Red Bull in the back pocket, a pack of cigarettes rolled up in his sleeve and stuff, and he's ready to go. And then I train these guys that come through some of the classes I've taught, and they call me and they're like, this person is threatening my job right now if I don't abide by the way he wants to do things, even though it's incorrect. Because I train them to standards. This is like, you probably do too. You train these people to standards. This is our standard. This is what we should follow. But there's so much, I call it cancer out there, bad habits in this industry, that it's never going to end. And it's like, just stop it. Stop it. I've literally fired so many people from my company, and I've hired all nothing but green guys, because I know I will train them the right way. They'll be trained my certain way, and there'll be no bad habits. Hopefully.
Yep.
So I got to tell you, Cathy, I'm excited to get into this, into the whole boom truck thing and the bucket trucks, because I don't know enough about it. And if I don't know enough about it, I can only imagine there's a lot of people that we do reach out to that don't. What can you tell us about bucket trucks that the world should know? I mean, you're seeing a lot of the man lifts and stuff used around Phoenix. I know that we had to use them every day. What's the first thing we got to know?
Well, for the man lifts, there's that new standard out for the 92.2. There's actually a fall protection, so you can actually go outside of the Genie, and JLG makes an external attachment for it. Genie makes an attachment, so they, like window washers can then put the window, put their windows right there, where we can actually, a lot of these guys are attaching their antennas to the outside of these their baskets. So there's legal, manufacturer approved attachment points for these aerial lifts that a lot of the guys don't realize are out there. And thank you for asking this, because another one, and this is so important to me, and this is the hugest thing, is like the max load on that basket, which this is how we got together, is these high cables. I mean, I think people understand the max load they're putting in that basket. And you add your wind speeds, and like you mentioned earlier, the tip overs, your counterbalances are off. I feel like this is the next thing that we're going to have another casualty, because those 2 men already passed away. They died, right? Last year in Maryland.
Right. So back what we were talking about, this is best case scenario. This is obviously on flat ground, and in Iowa, the Midwestern states, it's really, it's odd that you can find the flat ground, and around a lot of the water tanks we work on, the ground is saturated. So it's only a matter of time before you look down and one of your wheels have sunk into the ground. I mean, I don't know if you have any preventatives or any tips as far as working or trying to keep these as flat as possible. But I've worked on these at angles that I know. I know, you got a simple key turn to override them.
Yeah, you're exceeding the lift angles. That's going to put yourself or one of the ground people in, in a circumstance that can cause an accident.
Right.
But so I guess back to, and I don't know, except for the only answer would be is that's where your situational awareness comes into, right? Because you've got to have somebody on the ground for those crew, somebody on the top, and somebody has to be on the ground for that to manage those controls.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And I see sometimes not the case. They're both up in the basket.
Oh yeah, I love that. I love that one. And it's like it's funny you say like the ANSI 92.2. We also find these regulations, some of the regulations in the general industry for let's see, 1910.67, right? Am I correct on that one? And then the construction standard would be 1926.453. Am I somewhat right on that, or
and it's weird, right? Because the aerial lifts fall under the scaffolding.
Yep, exactly.
That's not scaffolding. That should fall more into cranes and derricks.
Exactly.
I don't even look at that as in scaffolding, but it falls underneath the scaffolding regulation.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah. I didn't know that. Even though you got a hydraulic or a mechanical boom, it still falls into the scaffolding. Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
And me and Kathy have talked about this prior to having this podcast, and it's something that needs to be addressed eventually. But our ANSI standards and then our OSHA standards are kind of in a gray area. Would you not agree with me, Kathy, on this? It's on everything. Like we've talked about qualified, competent, authorized, according to OSHA, and then competent, authorized, qualified according to ANSI. And they don't intersect well. It's too much of a vague gray area.
Yeah.
And it's I don't like it.
But what she's saying though is that we're expecting these people to understand boom angle radiuses, and that would be more towards the crane side than ever the scaffolding, because if they've never been taught on how to understand boom angle radius and what how your capacity drops, raises, how to manipulate a little bit, maybe you'll never get that with scaffolding.
But I'm gonna stop you 1 second. But last time I was in a boom or a man lift training, the guy was like, "Well, according to this is what we're gonna do on the PowerPoint. This, and this." He's never been. He is 300 pounds, and he's never been on a man lift a day in his life. You can tell because he looks scared shitless of heights. Because when I ran that thing up to 120 feet, he was like, "Oh, I didn't think you were gonna go that far. I just told you to go that far." Wow. So what do you mean? It's like it comes down to me. It always comes down to, if we're gonna produce this training and do these trainings or enforce these standards, we gotta have people who have knowledge behind them first before we can enforce them. And she has a great article in Inside Tower that I suggest everyone reads, and that's what she reached out to me and I read this article. I was like, holy hell, we have to do this. because it's more this 5G and this, you know, small cell stuff. And it's over your head because we're not used to it. We're used to, you know, let's go climb a 300 foot tower or whatever it is, and let's go hang this hybrid, and here's our standards, here's what we got to do, and boom.
That's
She's bringing it, and she's bringing the insight to something that's completely overlooked.
Yeah,
I agree.
Picking a poll up, we'll put it right there, no big deal. And like we talked, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to overcut.
No, go ahead.
But also the traffic control too, you know, and we talked about that earlier. So I know.
Go ahead. No, I'm gonna let you.
This is yours. I know nothing. I'm not even gonna pretend. I'm not even gonna pretend like I know anything about this, because
if I start talking, we'll be here for an hour and a half.
I'm sorry, Chad, what were you gonna say?
No, I said I'm not even gonna pretend like I know any part of this. I mean, I understand there's traffic there. I've had lanes shut down before, but you guys are the experts here, because I don't even know what the laws are on the traffic.
So the man that introduced me to you two, his name is Scott Kisting. Do you guys know?
Mm-hmm.
I know Scott.
Oh yeah, we know Scott. We know Scott
years ago.
So Scott, you know, had the fatality of his crew. And they were doing the traffic control, and somebody wasn't paying attention, and they hit and killed I think it was one of his guys. And since then he's gone much into safety and standards and everything. And he'll tell you all day long about, you know, the traffic control. They did everything right that day.
Really? Yeah, it's insane to think about traffic control. And I'm not gonna bust out anybody on LinkedIn. I see it all the time on LinkedIn. You know, LinkedIn is supposed to be like the safety professionals of Facebook, but you know, I'm gonna put it out there because I want someone to survive this and not, you know, get somebody killed. Your people who go out, your HR people or your marketing people who go out there and take photos of you guys on the side of the road, make sure your cones are up, make sure your safety stuff's up, because every photo I've seen on LinkedIn in the past 6 months has been no conage, at minimum, no cones.
Yeah.
I've seen guys no high vis vest on. I've seen no even acknowledgement of them even going into a construction zone, of them working on the side of the shoulder. You know,
do a picture of these load angles that the manufacturers recommend. So if you can, I don't know if you guys can post a photo of that at the end or something.
Yeah, definitely can.
Well, perfect. We're already recording, so that I'm going to include whatever I can here. Boom. What do you got?
All right. So, you know, traffic controls, you know, just understand the national, national uniform traffic control standard, or, you know, temporary traffic control standards. It's a big thing, and it's going to be more and more, you know, we're going to use it more and more throughout our industry now, because we're doing these small cells of DAS systems and all that stuff.
Yeah, and maybe we should
go ahead.
Make it part of the training. You bring up a really good idea there, where it's almost like I know these guys have so much training, but if we can include it maybe in like a rigging class or something like that, the whole traffic control portion of it. I mean, you've hit a really good spot there.
I think it'd be awesome in a whole another aspect of this. Is a whole nother training, because understanding the traffic control, because your speeds, you know, are you at an intersection? You know, there's so many aspects of this.
They brought that up in the day training.
Yeah, they brought it up, but
they brought it up.
I'm not knocking on Nate. I understand they have to go towards the OSHA thing, but that was a low 30 class that I didn't want to hear. You know.
Yeah, if the carriers could enforce this, like maybe a 4-hour training course or something like that as part of the onboarding process, I don't think anybody would ever complain about it.
There you go.
4 hours is I'd say it has to be a day. I'd say an hour a day, because in my eyes, there should be more companies out there right now trying to get involved in our industry doing traffic control, because you see all these highway guys out here. They're a different entity that does traffic control, because the construction company doesn't want the liability on it.
Yeah, and the one in Arizona, their certs only last for 1 year.
Oh, wow.
Every year you've got to be retrained.
Oh, wow. Well, let's get back on boom trucks here. I was so ecstatic. I was so ecstatic about boom trucks, and we kind of went off subject, but you know, hopefully you come back on our podcast and talk to us again.
Yeah, if you
and
guys allow me.
Oh, I will. Trust me. I love it.
I want to, before we end this, I want to hear a little bit of your knowledge. I mean, I feel you've got more than what us two dummies have combined.
No,
because
I don't think so.
I'm coming down for my Sprat 3.
We've been in a lot of burn trucks, but
yeah, I want to come down for my Sprat 3.
All right, come on down.
She were outside of Phoenix the airport. Damn, gone.
Yeah, I saw on the map. You must be. I saw on the map, and not to be a creepier, but you must be just up the street from where Scott lives. I think Scott lives just up the road, doesn't he?
At all. No, I'm about 4 miles from the south of the airport. I don't know where Scott lives. I
just knew when I was sending stuff, information or whatever, back a few years ago or a couple of years ago, he was in Gilbert. So I no, you're not too far away.
No, probably about 20 minutes.
Sorry, Scott, threw in the bus.
But back to your boom trucks, and this is where we're going to send that picture of your angles. You mentioned that very everything's always about our angles, right? So if we, even in rigging, our lifting with, and you mentioned the cranes, everything is about those angles. If you jib out too far, what's it going to happen to? Do you have to bring out the aerial lift? Do you not have enough room? So, and then are we overloading the capacity of these aerial lift baskets? Because my concern in the whole rigging part is these hybrid cables, they're putting all the entire reel in this basket, and then they're putting them back down through the monopole from the top down, the rigging.
They're back feeding. Huh? Okay.
Well, you have to with the new pendants that T-Mobile's putting on.
The Medusas.
Oh, really?
And the Medusas, right?
Yeah.
So what I have had is like hybrid cables are weighing like 4.1 pounds if it's like the T-Mobile ones, and I think the hybrid
per foot.
Yeah, and the Verizon's is like 3 pounds per foot. So if you look at going 150 feet, you're going to be maxing out that basket plus your wind speed, plus you talked over about your your unstable conditions of your what do you call it, the ground.
Right.
So what are we doing? I mean, we're maxing everything out.
And plus you got to consider, you're in Phoenix, we're in the Midwest. Our monopoles here are what, 220? What's our biggest monopole we have around here, Chad?
A little over 200.
Yeah, 220, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, so take your 4 pounds per foot. You're already at 600. You're already, into a class 3 rigging now.
Yeah.
And they're not thinking that when they're having to put everything in the basket and go from the top down.
If I see anybody go through in the basket like that,
just stinging out, just stinging out and stopping is enough to tip one of them things over at that point.
Yeah.
So that's insane.
I think these hybrid cables are our next nemesis on how do we solve this rigging issue if we have to rig from the top down and we have to, lay out the entire cable rail, then put it in the basket with the guys. It's, you're looking at tip overs or maxing everything out because now you've got 1 or 2 guys in the basket plus their tools plus 600 pounds of cable.
Right.
Jesus. That's insane. I didn't even thought about that. That's insane.
The same thing. You're like, this is insane.
I make our crews, they back feed them from the ground. They send them up.
Yeah.
They use a 2-rope, trolley system, and they go from the ground up because there's like Cathys.
I've only done one from the ground down, and that was a clear wire site. That was a long time ago, but yeah.
Well, now the pendants come. The pendants are pre-made on the top there.
Oh, they're pre-made. I guess I didn't know that. So. And
then your jumpers you just twist and lock in, and they've got them separated for your 2.0 and 1.0s. You can only plug those into certain spots.
Yeah.
I learned something new today. Here's my thing I learned today.
So this is a huge issue with the men, and they don't feel comfortable putting that much cable in. And then you, like we talked about with I keep saying angles, but it's so true. And then we throw in, like, you guys get horrendous wind.
Yeah, it's bad.
And so now what wind speeds do those things tip over, right? The crane stops at 22. But now we're saying, hey, it's up to you guys, to figure out when you want to stop.
My biggest fear, I guess, would be from a couple of years ago, I was working out of a man lift every day. And when you sting those out, and then when you're at the end of your stinger, when you're going to twist that basket and to get into your final position, I do know that basket twists quick. And if you got a reel up there and you twist that basket, and when the hydraulics finally catch to finally grab a hold of you to whip you left or right, I can't imagine that thing staying upright. I just can't.
You're probably going last time I was in a big man lift, it was 3-4 feet every direction. We were completely boomed out, stinger out, everything.
Well, but now you're
off
one way or the other.
And I don't have that weight of that spool in there too. So I can only imagine that. That's crazy.
You guys got more guts than I do, because
that's ballsy.
No thanks.
I'm hearing the complaints with every class on these aerial lifts on these hybrid cables. I also want to say, like, I'm also seeing like people getting man lift training online. That does not meet the OSHA regulations.
Right.
You have to be hands-on training. We don't.
Yes.
You don't know. It could be the wife, the sister, the brother taking the test.
Oh, I love you. Oh, I love it. Round of applause for Cathys, because you know what? You are the shit. I love it. I love it. It's just
like the CPR. It's like the CPR training on.
Oh yeah. I would say I'm hands-on, not online. I'm online or not online. I'm hands-on, training. Yeah. And people are like, well, I get it down the road online for $98. So why you charge me, $395? Well, boom, right there. I love it.
The regulations, and in the court of law, we have to show up together. And mine was hands-on, and we did the full inspection. You guys know how to do an emergency override to bring the person down, or rescue, whatever. This is not something you're going to learn online. It just does not exist.
You teach that with your boom training?
Yeah, I have an 80-foot genie at my yard.
Nice.
Yeah, right?
Oh, yes.
It's not in the background.
I don't know anybody right now that actually has, like, besides like me, that actually knows how to override a genie and bring it to the ground if something goes crazy. Yeah, I know no one.
Well, and that's another thing, is because these things are in use so much, a lot of the guys are getting stuck up in the air now.
I see that.
Yeah,
I did
one
one
time.
time.
I see that.
I got stuck.
Yeah, how'd you get down?
Swung. I rigged. So the climber came up the tower.
Yeah.
On a monopole, threw me the rope. I hooked it up on the boom, and then ran it over the basket, and then swung over onto the tower and then climbed down. Yeah, it was stupid. It wasn't fun.
And we'll have a legal addendum at the end of this episode to
right. Hey, that happened over 7 years ago. I'm gonna say right now it's a statute of limitations. So there you go.
It'll be a warning label over Derek.
Yeah. Do not do this at home, children.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So,
oh, sorry, I'm Shad. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. So what you're gonna say?
No, I think that's the biggest takeaway, is knowing the angles, knowing your situational awareness, watching, got to have one person on the ground, one person in the air, two people cannot be both in the basket, and no online training. Go, United, Sunbelt, a lot of times they offer the free training with their rentals. Right.
So Cathys, the biggest thing you're seeing right now in the industry as far as problems with these is it the hybrid up there, or is it a number of things? What are you seeing as the biggest problem with using these man lifts so far?
Two things: overloading them, and the second one is they're using them so much that a lot of the guys are getting stuck up in the air.
So explain that. Using them so much, you mean they're going past the maintenance window?
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you what what the major manufacturers, are doing, but I'm saying that the fact that we're using them, there should not be breaking down as much as they are, and as much as I'm hearing about how many students have been stuck in these area lifts.
Right.
Wow.
It's across the nation too. It's not just all of Phoenix or Chicago or whatever. It's everywhere. Because California only lives out of man baskets. What do they
Yeah,
call them?
I know.
What do they call them? Like, what do they say? Like little basket fairies or whatever?
Yeah. I know, basket fairies. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad
Love
you can
it.
bring the knowledge to this because, like I said, if we tried to podcast about this, it would just be old horror stories and guessing. So I'm glad we got you on here. But I would really like to have you back and go across a pretty cool platform and run us through more of this.
Well, I'm attending the MUPS because I'm part of the 92.2 committee, ANSI committee, and they have their committee meeting in 2 weeks. So if we could get together and I can bring back more information on what's happening with these aerial lifts in the industry and the ANSI committees.
That would be amazing.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
That'd be amazing.
Thank you for helping us, our industry,
You guys are doing it.
be safe, No, we started down at the field level and we're working our way up,
Yeah.
We got the first level here,
Yeah.
I applaud you. You're out there striving to do what you got to do and you're getting it done. And that's awesome. So thank you so much.
Thank you guys. And
you've been perfect, Cathy. And if we're ready to end it here, thanks for tuning in to Towerhand Happy Hour episode 10. We will have the email address up on the screen. Contact us and let us know.
We will have a diagram that she's going to send us and we'll post it up there and make sure y'all know that. And thanks for tuning in. Y'all stay 100%. And thank you, Cathy, so much for being on there.
Thank you.
Awesome.
100%.
Right.
Thanks,
Stay
Cathy.
safe,
100%. Thanks, Cathy.
All right. Sorry to cut it so short. You guys are amazing. Super proud to be here. So thank you.
Thank you.
No, we want you back on. Thank you so much. All right. Sounds good.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.